taking me home. One thing really do want. Say that you're the worst, but I don't know. Is that true?
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to do 3 looks with the new Secret palette from Nabla Cosmetics. The secret is it's eyeshadow. As you guys probably already know, because I talk about them all the time and I use them all the time, I'm a big fan of Nabla's eyeshadows and also their lip products. So I'm really excited to do 3 looks with this today. And if you're wondering about the quality of this palette, I will also do a little first impression at the end of this video. And as always, because I respect your time as a human being, I will timestamp everything down below. So if you only have time to watch 1 or 2 of the looks, or you have a specific one that you want to see, or you really only want to see the review, you can jump right to that and then go about your day. Go eat your lunch, do what you gotta do. Speaking of lunch, I am so hungry. I feel like every time I film, I'm talking about how hungry I am. And I always eat before I sit down too. It's a problem. The excitement of the makeup burns too many calories, I think. Before we get into it, please don't forget to leave a like on this video because I would really appreciate it. And I heard through the grapevine that people who leave likes on YouTube videos live longer. It's a fact. Positive thinking. And if you are new here, then please don't forget to subscribe because I would love to have you around for future videos. If you've been just kind of hanging out and watching a bunch of them and you haven't subscribed yet, you're gonna keep coming back anyway, so you might as well subscribe so you don't miss any, because then you're gonna miss them and you're gonna be like, wow, I missed them. Don't say that I didn't warn you. Also, just a reminder, my new series, Get Ready With Me, our little book club here on this channel starts next week. We are reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. We're going halfway through for the first week. All the details of that will be listed down below if you would like to join me in reading that book. I think that is all we need to talk about before we get into it, and we have a lot of makeup to do today, and we're going to be here for quite a while, and why waste our time talking about nonsense when we could be eyeshadowing? Okay, let's just jump into look number 1. So before we get into the first look, I want to open the palette so you guys can see the colors we're working with inside of it here. Before I reveal what this looks like to you, if you know me, if you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you're gonna know as soon as you see this that these color combinations are right up my alley. So this is the inside of the Secret palette. Now this has 2 new formulas from Nabla. They sent me an email clarifying everything about the new formulas in detail, so I'll include all of that information in the description down below as well. But essentially, there are 2 new formulas in here along with their normal formulas. There's one that's like an extra kind of crystallized copper metallic formula, which I believe this one here, Play Hard, is one of those, a Hypersensual, and if I'm not mistaken, Fantasize, this blue one, is as well. And then there is a new velvety formula, which is represented here by the shade Nablack. I played with these shades a little bit the other day just to kind of get a handle on what this palette might be like before I sat down to film with it, because I was taking a couple of days to film other things first. And the Nablack is phenomenal. It is the smoothest, most velvety, buttery black. It's really, really, really nice. So I am super stoked on that just to begin with before we even get into these looks. I think I'm going to use a little bit of that in the first look as well though. Another thing I want to point out is the attention to detail on the packaging because it is stunning. The back, I don't know if it's going to show so much on camera, but the back here and the details in white on the front are like a faux embossed snake print. So it has like a texture. It seems like it's almost leather, but it's not. So to begin this look, I'm going to choose one of the neutrals, and here I'm going to go into the shade Ghibli. I'm packing that down with a Morphe M433 brush, and I'm basically just using that to create a little bit of a shape higher up than my natural crease. Toward the end of that, as you can see, the actual crease of my eye goes down right here. Instead of following it down, I'm just gonna flick it out toward my brow. I'm gonna grab this MAC 268S brush. When I break out this MAC 268 brush, you kind of already know what's about to happen. I'm gonna go into the shade Addiction, which is basically the one in this palette that instantly gives me a makeup boner. And from the outer corner of my eye, I'm gonna start an angle upward as if I am doing a winged liner. And at the top, I'm gonna flick it inward right where we put down that transition shade. I want to continue the shape on the inner portion, but I'm going to leave the center of the lid completely open. So I'm picking up this little fine liner brush from Bobbi Brown, and I am going to just draw out the shape that I want with that brush. And then with a pencil brush, I'm gonna go back into that shade again. I'm gonna start filling in that space. I'm moving toward the center and kind of blending toward an empty spot in the middle of the lid. I don't feel like that's a great description. You'll see when I actually start doing it. Now that this main matte shade is down, I'm gonna go into the shade Rosemary, which is in a similar kind of a family, similar tones, but this one's a shimmer. I'm just gonna take that where we ended off, that other shade, just kind of use that to blend a little further toward the center. I'm not putting a lot though, because I don't want to take this very far. I just want to sort of like start the shimmer situation with this a little bit. Next, I'm going to go into the shade Play Hard on a clean pencil brush. And I'm going to use that over the entire center where we left it blank, but I'm also going to continue it partially over where we put down those other shades. And I'm just adding a little bit of Fix Plus to my brush, and I'm going to start at the center and then move outward. Now that this shape is down, I'm gonna go back in and blend a little bit more in these areas in just a minute, but I wanna deepen up the outer corners with a little bit of black. So I'm gonna go into that shade Nablack that I was talking about earlier. This is a Nabla small pencil brush. I'm gonna take a little bit of that black and I'm just gonna pop that right on the outer corner of my lid, not bringing it above where the crease is. I'm just tapping it over that matte turquoise green right on the outer corner to deepen that up. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the inner corner as well. I'm taking that same brush, I'm not even gonna clean it off, and go back into the shade Addiction, and I'm gonna use that to sort of start tapping that shade in toward the center a little bit more, just to blend those two together. I concealed and powdered underneath my eyes. Just a little note, there is some fallout with the matte shades in this palette for sure. Nothing extreme, it's not like, oh my god, the fallout. But with soft, super pigmented shadows, you're always gonna get a little bit of fallout, so maybe do your concealer after your eyes, just a little note there. Whenever I do this type of eyeshadow shape, I'm always really conflicted because on one hand, I love it and I feel so fierce and like feline and I just really like it. But on the other hand, I also feel a little bit like the Nightman. For the lower lash line, I want to keep it pretty much the same type of shade, so I'm going to go through my waterline with Deep End Pencil from Urban Decay. I'm going to take that same small pencil brush and back into the shade Addiction here. I'm going to start running that underneath my lower lash line. I'm connecting that into the wing shape that we did on the top. I'm going to take another tiny Nabla brush. This is a lash line smudger brush. I'm going to go back into Play Hard. Again, I'm going to wet that with a little bit of Fix Plus because I like the intensity that it gives it. And then I'm going to put that right in the center of the lower lash line just to reflect that shape we did on the top. It's not going to be quite as extreme because I didn't leave as much space open as I did on the top, but it'll still be like a really nice little pop of color there. I'm going to go ahead and finish this eye. I'm going to add some lashes and then we'll pair this with the lip. Okay, I added House of Lashes Midnight Luxe. I know. Big change. I didn't use the same lashes as I usually do, but I actually just found these in my lash collection and I think they are beautiful, and these might be the new ones that you see over and over again because the shape of them is fantastic. I added some freckles with my Urban Decay brow blade. For blush, I used the Girl Powder Auto Balm kit from the Balm, and I highlighted with the Urban Decay Mother of Dragons palette. So for the lip, I'm going to keep it really simple. This actually happens to be a Nabla product as well. This is the Touch Me lip pencil, and I usually like to top it with the clear agave lip mask from Bite Beauty, which I already have some of on my lips, and I'm going to pat that off. I'm going to line my lips so they have some definition, make them a little bigger, and then put more lip mask over the top and just kind of give you guys an idea of one of my go-to lip combinations. I think you've probably seen that one before, but it's a good one, so we're gonna do it again. And this is the first look. For look number 2, we're going to the other side of this palette. We're going into the pinks and the reds. I don't know why I'm describing it like it's a horror movie. So to start, I'm gonna go with the shade Contigo. And again, I'm starting on a Morphe M433 brush, and I'm just gonna use that to start defining my crease. I'm bringing it up a little bit higher than my natural crease. You guys may notice that I do that pretty often. That's because my eye shape is a little bit annoying to work with sometimes, where I have like a little bit of like a fold and like a vein right here. So if I don't go above it, it kind of makes my eyeshadow look like I didn't blend it right. I mean, sometimes I just didn't blend it right. That's also true. Just gonna grab a clean blending brush and start blending that out a little bit along the edge. And this time I'm gonna blend the bottom of that too, because the lid's gonna be a little bit more on the open side. So I don't want any like unfinished business down there, you know? I'm gonna pick up my MAC 221 brush and I'm gonna go into the shade Julieta, which is this nice powdery pink. And this is gonna be one of my inner corner contoured pop of color type of looks with a wing. So I'm gonna start building this color in that area because this is gonna be the shade that our other shades blend out into. I'm bringing that right up to meet the bridge of my nose. Next, I'm gonna pick up my Luxe 111 mini brush. I'm gonna go into this metallic reddish pink shade Big Experience. I wet that with some Fix Plus and I'm gonna start packing that on my inner corner. I'm bringing a little bit of that onto the lid, but not too much. And the rest of it, I'm just blending up into where we put down that pink. And I'm gonna blend the edge of that with the same brush that I used to put down that pink initially. So this morning, YouTube recommended me a video called Sweet Potato Beta Fish Tank. And of course, I watched it, and it was a whole video about this guy making a sweet potato beta fish tank where like the roots grew down into the tank. But it reminded me how much I love beta fish because I had beta fish as a kid. My sister and I had two. They were named Strawberry and Blueberry because one was blue and one was red, and we had no creativity. But it also got me thinking about how beautiful those fish are with their little tails that shift from red to turquoise. And I thought to myself, wow, you should really combine those colors. So I'm gonna go back into the shade Play Hard again. I know we used this one in the last look, but I'm gonna use it again. I'm gonna pick it up. This time I'm gonna do it on a dry brush though, because I don't want a ton of intensity. I'm just gonna place it where that pinkish reddish metallic ends, taking it to about halfway across. Then I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of that on a pencil brush and just tap it over the actual pink to blend it over that as well. I wanna add a wing to this look, but I wanna keep the wing colorful because, I don't know, sounds fun, why not? So I'm gonna pick up one of the Fenty Beauty liners. I reviewed these recently, did 3 looks with these. I actually had a really good time using them. I know a lot of people struggled with them, and like I said in that video, they do crack a little bit. Not so much this shade. This shade doesn't really crack, but they still crack way less than every other version of like a Vivid liner that I own. So I've been using them quite a lot. I've even been using them just in my day-to-day life, and I really like them. Also, I just want to mention that a YouTuber named Karen Bacchini, she recreated one of my looks in her video about these liners, and she was so sweet to me, and her followers have been so sweet to me, and I just want to say thank you again. If you're watching, you are awesome, and I really appreciate you recreating my look, and you freaking nailed it, and it made my whole week. It was just really nice. So with this Techno Beet shade, I'm going to create a pretty thick wing, but I don't want it to cover up this gradient on the inner corner here, so I'm going to make it kind of like a half liner. I'm going to go back to the shade Contigo on a pencil brush, and I'm going to run that under my lower lash line just for some soft definition. I'm going to put it down with the pencil brush first and then blend it out with a little something more fluffy. And for the waterline, I really want to open that up, so I'm going to take my Benefit Roller Eye Bright and just run that through my waterline. I'm going to take a small Makeup Geek pencil brush and I'm going to go back into the shade Play Hard again. I'm going to add a little bit more of that right here. I'm going to finish this eye, add some lashes, and then we'll change out this lip to something that matches a little bit better. So I just touched up the skin and then I added the Midnight Luxe lashes again. I am loving these right now. They look really great with like wingy shapes. Now, instinctively, I want to pair this with like a cool toned pinkish nude lip to just balance everything out. We already did a nude lip so far in this video, and I don't want to do 2 in a row. I'm just not in the mood for it again. So I'm going to take it in a completely different direction. I'm going to do a matte red with this, because if there are 2 things in this world that I love, it's like turquoises and teals and stuff mixed with reds and pinks, but also pinks mixed with like really true reds. And the thought of putting all of those together just made me really excited. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to keep it simple, use my favorite red liquid lip. This is Uncensored Stunna lip paint from Fenty Beauty. And this is the second look. Number 3, I want to do something inspired by this look that Nabla reposted on their page. It's a look from an artist whose name is La Vie in Cosmetics, and it is so pretty and like very soft, and she used a lot of colors from the palette, and I'm gonna do something similar to this, but I'm gonna switch up a few of the colors because I want to use stuff that I haven't used yet. So I'm gonna go into the shade Ghibli again on a Morphe M433. Is that what this is? Yes, it is. I'm gonna start with a Morphe M433. I'm gonna start going through my crease with that, and we're gonna do a little bit of a flicked out end like we did in look number 1, even though we're gonna be a lot less structured with it this time. And I'm gonna bring that down to the lower lash line on the outer corner as well, just to kind of continue that shape and give all the dark shades that we're about to put down something to blend out into. Next, I'm gonna go into the bluish shade here, Fantasize, on a pencil brush. I'm wetting that with a little bit of Fix Plus. I'm starting near my lash line where I want it to be most concentrated. I'm gonna start packing that down. I'm gonna drag that out into sort of a wingy-ish shape, but not all the way to where we brought that brown out because we're gonna darken that anyway. I just cleaned that brush off on a color switch sponge, and I'm gonna go into the shade Nablack, and I'm gonna start deepening up that outer portion. And I'm gonna use the Morphe M433 that we used to put down the transition just to blend the edge of that because I want it to be more of a soft shape, not like a hard line like the first look we did. Next, I'm gonna go into the shade Creation Crown. This is a Luxe 141 mini brush. I'm gonna dip into that shade. I'm gonna wet that as well. I'm just wetting all my shades, just wetting them up. If you're in doubt, it's probably wet. That's what she said. I'm gonna put that over this whole empty area. And you're probably like, wow, Nicole, those two shades are not gonna come together. Well, you just wait a second. It's like so creamy. When you wet it on the brush, it's like working with a paint. It's I'm just gonna wipe that brush off, and on the same brush, I'm gonna go into Play Hard. I know I've really used this shade a lot, but I mean, did you see what it looks like? Are you surprised? And I'm wetting that as well, and I'm gonna tap that right where the gold meets the blue so that the green blends the gold and the blue together into one beautiful look. I'm gonna go back into Nablack again. This time I'm gonna use it on a Sigma E06 brush. This is like a tiny blending brush because that's like the framework that's holding together this very shimmery look, and I wanna make sure we don't really lose any of that shape in the process. I cleaned off that same Luxe 141 again, and I'm gonna go into the shade Hypersensual right here. I'm wetting that with a little Fix Plus again. I'm just gonna use that to highlight the inner corner of the eye. All right, concealed and powdered underneath my eyes, and I'm gonna start smoking the lower lash line. So I'm gonna go into the color Addiction again on a pencil brush. Just gonna drag that under the lower lash line. I don't wanna make the look too round. And I'm bringing it in about 2/3 of the way. Next, on a detail brush, I'm gonna go into Nablack again, and I'm gonna push that into the more concentrated area of the lower lash line. And this time I'm only bringing it in about halfway. And at the end, I'm just flicking that out so it meets that point that we created with the top part. On the same detail brush, I'm gonna go into the shade Play Hard again, and I'm gonna wet that and put it right here, right on the inner corner, just on the bottom portion. I'm gonna go finish the other eye, add some lashes, and we'll move on to lips. Okay, I used the same lashes. I just filled in my moles this time. I didn't do freckles. I used the MAC blush in Linda, and I highlighted with the Nabla highlighter in Crown. Because there's so much color and so much shimmer on the lids, I want the lips to balance that by being matte and being neutral. So I'm gonna line my lips with the MAC pencil in the color Hover, which is a classic, and then fill them with Fenty lip paint and Unbutton. And this is the third look. Okay, so after doing 3 looks, what are my thoughts? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think that this might be my favorite Nabla palette. I have liked a lot of their palettes in the past. I would go so far as to say I have loved their palettes in the past, and I also love their single shadows. I use them very often. So it's really no surprise that I like the performance of this palette. But the reason why I think this is my favorite Nabla palette is the arrangement of colors and also the 2 new textures that are included. Now, this might take a spot as my favorite black eyeshadow right now. It's really, really good. Other shades in here that are the new texture are so fun and so pretty. The one that I obviously, because I used it 3 times in 3 separate tutorials, liked the most was Play Hard. This kind of reminds me of one of the shades in the Lime Crime Venus XL2 palette, but this one I think is a little bit nicer and a little bit more intense, but they are very similar. This palette did get a little bit dirty as I was using it because the shadows are very, very soft. And for the same reason, I did see a little bit of fallout with some of the shades, but not a ton, not as much as you would think with such soft shadows. Overall, I think this palette is absolutely delightful. The only thing that I would change if I could like add my like little creative input into this palette would be big experience. I wish it was more of like a true ruby red metallic than like a pinkish metallic, but that's just personal preference. But that texture in like a deep ruby red, oh my god, it would be so phenomenal. Nabla is not paying me to promote this palette, and they also are not giving me any commissions on this palette. When they sent me this palette, they sent me over a bunch of information about it, and in that information they let me know that they are having a 15% off sale on their entire website right now when you purchase this palette. So if you go and purchase this palette, anything that you purchase, like your entire purchase, will be 15% off. I believe that ends today, like the day that this video is going up. So if you're watching this on Monday when this video goes up, it's probably still in effect. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know, have you tried Nabla shadows and what do you think of them? And also let me know, what do you think of these colors? Because for me, these colors are like, this is divine. I absolutely love this, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. What are your preferences as far as like the color stories in your palettes? Please don't forget to leave a like on this video if you don't mind taking a second, because that helps me out and I really appreciate it. And also, if you are new here, do not forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video. Also because, you know, it's cool to have friends around to hang out and do these videos with, and I would love for you to be one of them. If you want to keep up with me between videos and get a little bit behind the scenes and sneak peeks about what's going to go on here on this channel, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I am at Miss Quinface over there as well. I also post more creative makeup looks over there sometimes, and I keep my stories updated pretty much all the time. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these 3 looks, and I will see you in the next one.